What's the craziest thing you've ever found in a house during a showing?
I'm searching for things that I can share.
That's not promising. Hey guys, it's Alexis from the Cinquegrani team. Here today we have Brandon Cinquegrani, our team leader.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello, how you
Brandon.
doing?
Hey.
Good.
So I wanted to bring you on here today, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what it is to kind of be an agent, how you found all of us, and kind of what got you started into real estate. And I know that you're an investor as well as an agent, so you dibble and dabble in both fields.
Yep. So I, right into it. What I got started for it is, I kind of, it's like most agents, I just wanted to have financial freedom when I got into it. Wanted to be able to have my own stability of, financial freedoms, but also be able to have I guess the time off that I would like to take, be able to attend my kids' games, be able to go out of town when I wanted to, have some of those freedoms because I wasn't getting that in the the corporate world.
In the corporate world, no.
Yeah.
But real estate isn't all time glamorous as people make it out to seem. Like there are some freedom things where, we don't have to be there from a certain time to a certain time, but there's a lot of hours that are put into a deal or finding a deal or however that looks. I know it's not always.
I did. I actually quickly learned. So I traded in my 40-hour-a-week job for I never clocked out of the job. I was constantly working, so I didn't stop, and I actually started getting anxiety attacks, and I started freaking out. I was a super successful new agent, so to carry on, that's why I actually created a team. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I'm out here doing this by myself all day, every day. Phones ringing, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and I was beyond stressed out. I had happy clients. I wasn't happy anymore. So that's how I started creating a team. I wanted to create some more freedom for myself, and also, doesn't everybody else want that too?
Yeah, no, most definitely. What was your first piece of the puzzle to your team when you had really sat down and decided, well, in order to give good customer service to my clients and also make sure that you were in the right mindset to continue on, where did you start? How did you kind of figure out those pieces and try to run it like a business? Because we are pretty much a business.
Correct. So you are your own business.
Yes.
100%. You have to make sure that, hey, I'm going to put on my marketing hat today. Right now, I'm going to turn on my customer service hat. Now I know about home inspections. Now I talk to lenders. So there's so many different things and aspects. And now you're running a full-time business off of this too. So I got to keep business coming in. I got to make sure that I'm maintaining and keeping all my clientele happy as well. So very stressful. That's when a team totally made sense to me. I was like, I need to create this. And I don't want to go join. I originally thought about joining a team. But all the teams that I found out there, it all benefited them. And it was same thing. It was a team where it was about the team lead. It wasn't about us. And
the agents that were going there. So I'm sure anybody, to the reason why I joined a team, right? I studied everything that I thought I could about real estate, but that doesn't teach you sales. It doesn't teach you how to structure a deal. When I went to school or to get licensed, the only thing that it taught me was what not to do.
Yeah.
Not what to do.
Don't get in trouble.
Yeah, don't get in trouble. Don't, and social media posts and certain things like that. That was pretty much the only thing that school taught me.
Yeah.
It was allowed hours and a test that was, to say the least, not the most beneficial test that I've ever taken in my life.
No, honestly, when they teach you how to,
Mm-hmm.
in school they teach you not to get in trouble in this business. They don't actually teach you the
The
business.
business. No, I feel like, and that's why a lot of agents, unfortunately, get in for maybe a year. Or they maybe not even stick out the whole year. I mean, they're licensed for the year,
Yeah.
but they end up stopping practice 3 months, 6 months in because they realize, oh, I can't do this on my own.
You can't. You need a mentor in this business. And that's just how it is. I had a mentor. I actually shopped different brokerages. My mentor was the lady who sold me a house for my first house. And that's how I got into the business. And she helped me. She's like, hey, if you're going to do your own thing and you don't want to go, because there were some big brokerages, but they took all your money. So it's like, oh, I'm going to do all this work, and then they are going to teach you. So there is a benefit in it. But the problem I was having is the disconnect after. It's like, oh, I want to pump you up in sales, but it was always me, not we.
Right.
And so that was like my biggest problem why I didn't join another one of those other brokerages.
Why you
I went out
started your own.
went out on my own and did it. And I had huge success. And I think it's one of those things, if you're hungry enough and you want to work hard and you know how to talk and take care of people and you actually have their best interest, that is like paramount in our business. And so when I'm recruiting agents, same thing I look for in them is, does your client matter more to you
In the transaction.
than the actual transaction?
And I feel like that's a huge disconnect in our industry. I mean, obviously, everybody is not a good seed. Not everybody's a good apple.
No.
People have their own agendas, and unfortunately or fortunately, we get to run our business how we so choose.
Yeah.
There's certain guidelines that we have to follow, but at the end of the day, you get to pick up and carry on a business. So if you decide that you don't want to work Thursday through Sunday, well, that's your choice. Your business may get
You might
harmed
suffer.
by it,
Yeah.
but that's your choice. Nobody's coming on your door and saying, well, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
How did you know what were the right people to add to your team? Because I know that that's probably a hard
Trial
thing.
and
Yeah,
trial and error. I wasn't perfect at it. I was so much better at doing the job, and then with a lot of people I try to bring on, I was just like, all right, success came easy for me, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I had a really good work. I still have a good work ethic, and I thought that everybody else had one too. And, that coming into the business, they don't. And that's okay. And I feel like there's a certain person for everybody in real estate. So even some of those ones that don't have, I think you definitely have to have a good work ethic. But I would say I wasn't very picky in the beginning when I started working with teams.
Now I think you are.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, I'm the newest agent
Yeah.
to your team.
Right.
And I've been on this team for 4 months now.
Yeah.
And everybody in our team kind of has their own special qualities, and they're pretty, for the most part, super successful in their own way. And I think it's kind of interesting that you found people that are all on the same mission, but we all do different things. Like we all have different. We're all, I think, customer service based.
Yeah.
But we go after different clients, different markets. It's interesting. Who is your longest soldier?
Probably Yessie and Zach. They've been on the team the longest. But Yessie was definitely, she was my assistant before she became a property manager and she was licensed. So she's probably been around the longest. And then I would say Zach and Josh are probably right behind her for since we started. But I've had great teammates come and go. And the thing is again, in the beginning, I wanted it sometimes more than maybe they wanted it. And because my actual passion, my found passion in it was I like seeing people become successful. But I learned that you can't want it more than they do.
No, it's they have to. You could take them to the water, but you can't make them drink it. That's that scenario.
So, but that's one of my real passions of actually being a team lead and I didn't get that anywhere else where I interviewed.
Right.
They were thinking about their bottom line,
Their gains, not
Right.
what they could teach, how they were going to help their agents reach these clients.
Right.
Pretty much just they were seat fillers.
yeah. And, and that's okay. I feel like that system works for certain people. And, but my system is different. And that's how that's how I want to build something where we actually work together and we're like a family, and yeah, we all have our quirks, but what family doesn't?
Why would somebody want to work with our team opposed to another team? Is it our uniqueness?
Yeah, and I would say there's a lot of things. Unique, camaraderie. We offer a lot of things other teams don't. We have actual commercial, not
Right.
pretend commercial.
That exists, yes.
We have property management. We have
A loan officer now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different things. A lot of people that you work with as well. You've built a lot of relationships in this industry. I know that you've done this for how long? How long have you been an agent?
about 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy to actually even say that out loud. So it doesn't feel like it. It flew by like this. But 11 years ago, I didn't have all these gray hairs and, I didn't have all this stress. But, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been a great ride and a great experience. And it's given me so much more freedoms and I've got to meet so many more great people and have great relationships. And that's one of the things I love about this business is I don't look at it as selling houses. I would look at it as
Building relationships.
It's a relationship business.
And when the transaction over, it's not
over.
No, it's a see you later.
Yeah. There's so many agents out there that do that and they fall out of the business or they hurt their own business. They don't build a clientele and a following and people, being genuine and taking care of your clients after the transaction is just as important during the transaction. And so many agents miss on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the follow back.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like I totally believe in a sense of community and, building things together. Like if we work together, we all succeed. Everybody.
I think that's how Rome was built.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think one solo man built Rome by himself and was like, yeah, guys, I got this.
Exactly. And that was a problem I had at some other brokerages and some other teams.
Well, you were establishing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's really amazing that you were able to take yourself from a solo agent to a team where I knew that I needed that support right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have been in the right mindset and been able to keep at, my 120 plus days the way that I have because, man, it's hard. It's hard when you're a beginning agent. It's hard trying to, what is the word I'm looking for? Prove yourself. It's hard for clients to understand that you are there to help them.
Yeah.
You are there to not just get a transaction out of them or something from them, that you are knowledgeable in your field, that you do know things that they may not. There's a lot of things that I didn't know about if I were to ever go out and purchase a home. If I didn't educate myself, there's a lot of different moving pieces. There's a lot more than just opening a door for somebody, which is, I think, the biggest lie that I don't know
So
how.
house hunters had it wrong?
Yes,
just
they
show
did.
3 homes and
then that's
pick
it.
one. Which one would you like? No, it's not like that. I do say, and you'll get agents, like I'll interview agents all the time, and it's like I can see you watch a lot of TV, and I wish I could tell you it's like that. It's not.
It's not Selling Sunset, is it?
Nope.
Oh,
I mean, any of those shows, I feel like they glorify the good moments, and there are some really great moments in real estate. So I can't, once you give a family who's been saving up to get a house forever and you hand them keys and you see tears falling and everybody's like, I've been a part of so many of those moments for some of my clients and it's fantastic. It's like, it's one of the most rewarding feelings you've ever had. Yeah.
I've had those conversations now with older people.
I've had the same. Like I had a client and sadly enough, she was at a very low price point and she wasn't getting help from anybody.
No, because people are only thinking about what it is in for them,
Yeah.
and they don't want to do the work, even if it's going to change somebody's life, because of what the number they're going to get at the end of it, which is really unfortunate because we're not all like that.
No. And, you know, and I'd like to say that most people aren't. You know, I'm hopeful, I guess you can say.
You're wishful
I'm very
you know.
hopeful that. But I took care of her, got her into her place with her family, and she was, I want to say, knocking on 60's door, and it was her very first home. And
Wow.
she actually lost her job during that transaction. She was a caretaker, and the people that she took, one of them passed, so she lost half of her income during the transaction. So I actually helped her find a job. And
To save her dream.
to
That's
save her
insane.
dream. Yeah. And I got the extensions that she needed and taking the extra step because I actually cared about her, not just the transaction. And I've gotten other deals from that. And people don't see the big picture in that thing. It's like, yeah, if we take care of one another and do things for each other and actually genuinely care and help each other, like, you'll be successful in this business. It's when agents, and that's the thing too, I've had problems with, some agents in the past is, they just want to close the deal and then it's like, sayonara, I'm out, and you can't do that. You have to genuinely care. And those people I've watched these past 11 years, I've watched many people come and go, in brokerages and, other agents and other brokerages.
Yeah, they're
Our
gone.
brokerage.
Out of the game because
they're
they don't know
done.
how to run business, or they don't know how to run a client-based business, which is that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
Why would anybody choose Vegas? Why have you stayed in Vegas for 11 years? I mean, you could honestly have picked yourself up and put yourself in any other market realistically.
I could have sold Sunset.
You could have sold Sunset, yes. Why is Vegas such what makes our market unique?
I'll say, touching on Vegas and not so much the market. So our affordability we had great affordability for a long time. It's still affordable, but not as affordable as it once was.
Right.
But with that said, Vegas, I was born and raised here. I've lived other places. Mm-hmm. But there's been no place like home for me. They say UNLV is an acronym, you never leave Vegas. Most people come back. And the reason why I think is we're a melting pot. We have people here from everywhere. We have some of the greatest food in the nation, in the world. I've traveled in the world, and honestly, I feel like you can get some food here that just in one location, it's hard to find all the food and entertainment that we actually have here. We're spoiled here. We really are. You go travel other places, and I set my expectations down here because I live in Vegas, so my expectations for food and entertainment are always really high.
They're at every corner.
Yeah, you spend $500 in a room in Vegas, you're staying in a nice room with a view, and it's clean and it's beautiful and everything's been remodeled, and then you spend that in some other cities, and you're like, whoa. I was like, all right.
This is your best.
This is,
Thanks for your best.
Yeah, I was like,
your efforts were...
food is subpar. You're like, all right, I guess I can eat this, I don't want to seem rude.
Is it safe to say it's a safe investment? If people were thinking about all the different areas that they could invest in, would you still consider Vegas a top?
100%. Everybody's moving here.
If they can't afford, they should.
Yeah, they're trying to make this mini Hollywood. They're, all the sports teams are coming here. They're realizing what a great market is. We have no state tax. That's a huge draw for people with higher incomes. And,
they're giving themselves pretty much a pay raise from switching.
Yeah, you move here, and COVID had a huge, nobody likes COVID. I don't want to talk about it, but it had a huge impact on that because people that found out that, hey, I don't have to drive into work every morning. I can work from home. Well, what better place to do it here where you're giving yourself a raise? The affordability is much more affordable than most places. I'd say our biggest emigrating state is California. People move here from California constantly because they're taxed, high prices, and you're priced out. You're working every day. You take a hour and a half commute to work and come back home, and you lose 3 hours
10 miles
a day.
away.
Yeah, you're losing 3 hours a day, and the quality of life sucks. And Vegas can give you that when you move here. And that's why I think we have a ton of people that emigrate from especially really expensive states like New York and California. And the only thing, and I will give California this, the only thing they have on us is they have beaches. We do have fake ones. If you go to like Mandalay Bay, they got the beach.
Or like Las Vegas.
Right.
Vegas is thinking on its toes, right? We're going to see they'll start expanding out, I'm sure. But Henderson's done a very well job at doing those resort worlds, master plan communities. I feel
beautiful communities, tons of parks, and again, food and entertainment everywhere. I think this is, they say New York's like the food mecca of the world. I've been. It was good. Okay.
I lived.
Yeah, but I still no place like home. Like I feel like we have more to offer here. All the best foods are flown in here. You want some of the best sushi you've ever eaten in the middle of a desert. We've got that here. It's weird. But back to the beaches. Yeah, I mean that's a 30-minute flight away. I have family in California, and when I go out there and I visit the beach, I invite them, and they haven't been in a year since I was there last. So those are the things. They don't even get to enjoy those because commutes are terrible. I'm working all the time. I picked up a third job because you just raised my taxes on me. Yeah. And I'm getting taxed more for working. 100%. The quality of life. It cancels out my first job. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Honestly, it's the quality of life. If you want a higher value of quality of life, yeah, I mean, Vegas is it. I can't think of another place I would move to personally. And so it makes it an easy sales for me as a salesperson. Is this a good place for investors to start coming? I know they're here already. They're fixing and flipping, and I appreciate the work that they do. I mean, honestly, there's so much drawback from investors, especially with sellers, right? There's a lot of people that I have conversations with on a daily basis that would refuse to sell their home to an investor because of whatever picture they painted in their mind. Yeah. But little do they know, investors were what saved us from 2008 and 2007, especially revamping neighborhoods and revamping areas and getting them from what was a C- community to a B+ or sometimes even more. It's true, and that was a bad sequence of time for I think a lot of people. But out of that investors that came in, they did repair houses, fix things up, and make things better to what they are today. So I do think that, investment in Vegas is, to me, it's a no-brainer. Where the city is going and where we've been building, we add new jobs, we add new, we add new corporations and businesses that are coming into town. There's so much building here, and if it gets old, we knock it down, we build something new again. That's We've seen it time. It's the only city again. I think that really does that. When did you get your first investment property, and what was that property? So my first investment property was actually the first house I bought with the agent that I
Your primary.
About. Yeah. So it was my primary house. And actually, kind of funny enough, when I bought that property, I had roommates, and I rented out both rooms, and I had no payment. So only thing I paid for was utilities, and pretty much just with that. And I bought in 2010. So fill me in on that investor list back in after 2008.
Darn you people!
Right. So I purchased that, and that was my first taste of real estate. But I tell that to most investors who aren't, coming from, you don't have to have $1 million. I bought my first investment property.
It's a primary.
Yeah, as a primary.
And house hacked.
Primary house. It was FHA. I put my 3.5% down. And so, once I got into that house, I think I spent at the time, it was probably $8,000. And I had a house. and I didn't even have to make payments because my roommates were. And the interest rate everybody thought was a great interest rate, and I had like a 5.5% interest rate.
Well, it's better than us now.
Yeah, not too far, but
Not too far.
I think we're going to end up back there again. But that was my very first investment property. And then I bought my next primary house, and then I turned that into a rental. So most agents don't tell people that, hey, keep your house. They say you sell your house and go buy your next house, because then you can go buy a bigger house. You can also not take the money out if you've saved money, which hopefully you have. Mm-hmm. And if you've saved money, then what you need to do is turn that into a rental, and they can use that rental income to go purchase your next home. Wash, rinse, repeat. Just keep doing the same thing. You can purchase new homes, move into it, turn the last one into a rental. So we've done this a few times, and that's how I have my few homes. And it's a tried and true thing that works. Those houses pay my mortgage now. I still to this day don't really have a mortgage payment.
So you've used every property since that first property, since your first primary that you then house hacked and already washed that mortgage. Mm-hmm. You then took the proceeds that you could from that home, or did you tap into that home at all, that first home, to buy your next one, or you saved up enough and just...
Same mortgages. I've never touched any of my mortgage. I refied once at a different house, not that house.
Okay. So you've only ever refied, and that's, I feel, the biggest... thing that's tossed around right now, especially since we were at such high interest rates. People, I mean, I get the term date the rate or marry the house. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people just don't understand what it really means to refi, or when to actually refi, instead of just saving themselves a couple dollars, or they save pennies to, then lose dollars.
That's the thing. And I would say this too. So interest rates, people get bedazzled by interest rates. We're like, I just locked in a 15-year at 3.8%.
It sounds sexy.
And they're like, wow, that's awesome. But if you could have got the 30-year at 4.5 at that time, and your payment's a lot lower, and somebody else is making that payment, and you're taking the other $500-$600, and you get to write off the interest every year, was it the better bet? What happens if the market shifts and changes, and now you're tied to that higher payment at the 15-year? Was that the better bet? You can still pay off a 30-year mortgage faster. You can make higher payments on it and still pay that thing off early. There's no prepayment penalties on most of those mortgages. So that's my, I would say, if you're doing investments, those are things that I suggest to people. But people do fall in love with rates, and that's one of the reasons why we're at a point where in the market currently today is people don't want to give up their interest rates.
Oh, a lock-in effect.
So how do you keep those interest rates? Do you know?
Keep the interest rates where they are?
I have a house right now, and it's at 3.5%. Actually, I can tell you right now, I have a house personally at 2.9%.
No,
how do I keep that rate?
You keep the house.
There you go. It's done. That's it. So go get a new house. You keep that house. You already did that. You can keep building from there. It's, and then people always want to try and time the markets, and they miss it. I tell people all the time, if you bought an Apple stock 30 years ago, it was a good investment. If you bought it 25 years ago,
still a good investment.
15?
We're at good.
10? It's probably still good. Yeah. 5?
We're subpar now.
Yeah, but it's probably decent, right? And that's the thing. It's when you got into the market. If you held on and you did, and it's affordability too. So 2008, why did that happen?
They were just giving mortgages to anybody that had a pulse and said that I make X.
Yeah.
And I promise you, Mr. and Mrs. Bank, I will repay you.
Yes.
And that was a lie.
Yeah. And people couldn't afford the houses they were buying. It was all affordability. So their monthly affordability, they couldn't afford it.
So is our crash never going to happen? Because that's that's the word on the street that people are waiting for.
A crash to happen?
The R word to happen. Recession.
Well,
And that all of our prices are just going to flatline like they did. And
I like to take a look at their crystal ball, because I've been doing this for 11 years and I don't have one. Okay. So, I think everybody's a market predictor, and the thing is, when you're in the business, you can look at certain indicators that are changes in the market. Mm-hmm. I just don't see anything viciously swaying unless something catastrophic happens. And I'm going to tell you right now, something catastrophic happens.
Bigger problems.
We got bigger problems than making my house payment, So those are the things that, I think that could only negatively affect our market at this time. There are certain places where, in certain cities, they'll do bubble watch. And what happens is they have a town where they allow people to keep overbidding each other, and they push out people who work day-to-day jobs and can't afford to live in those towns. We're not that town, at least not yet.
So where do you see Vegas in 5 years? And this is, I guess I'm asking in terms of affordability. Where do you see home prices sitting? I know back to we don't have a crystal ball, but just with those clear indications that we're seeing now, and to your point of everything is coming to Vegas, in terms of, yes, there are going to be a Hollywood studios here, so it will be like the performing arts of, so where do you see us in 5 years?
Well, with the Vegas market and the way things, probably about at least 25% appreciation. That's what I would think in 5%. If 5% year over year is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's
that's normal for us, and I think it's steady, and I think that's where we're going to see. Plus, one of our biggest jumps weren't necessarily just the market; it was also inflation. So we all went through inflation that made everything more expensive, including housing, but everything we pay for, even tacos.
So that person that is waiting to time the market, that is in hopes of prices are going to correct themselves, that they're going to go down, what would you say to that person if they were like, Brandon, I don't think that I'm going to get into the market right now because something's telling me that our economy is just not doing what it's supposed to. The jobs reports just are coming weaker. They're revising them. I think that I should wait a couple months to see if home prices correct themselves.
I would tell them that, if you go back 100 years in time, 200 years in time, go forward another 100 years in time, one thing's going to always be consistent, and that's fear. And they're always going to instill fear into people, and people are going to be afraid. And there's also going to be people who take risks, and there's going to be people that win, and there's going to be people that lose. But real estate's not a huge risk because you need to live somewhere. You don't live in a stock, right?
No, I can't go knock on Apple's door and be like, well, I'm a shareholder. I actually lost my home and I need a place to stay, but I hold this stock so I could sleep here.
Right. That would be nice, but they don't let you.
No, so, I would get arrested.
Yeah. For real estate, if you're trying to and again, people that think like that, you can't day trade real estate. And that's what people like mentality. And that's the get quick rich people typically too. Like, oh, hey, everything's low. I'm going to go buy now. Right. Oh, wait, it went lower. Oops. I lost everything. So those are the things where it's like you don't want to day trade real estate. You can't. Unless you're buying a REIT or something on the stock market, there's really no way. You're buying your personal house that you're going to live in. It's an investment. And the biggest common misconception with people that rent and people who don't buy their first home, I have to live there forever. Okay? I don't live in my first home, I don't live in my second home, and I don't live in my third home.
You don't say.
And if I wanted to move tomorrow, I'll move tomorrow. So those are the things where it's common misconception where, oh, I just bought a house and then I'm stuck there forever. And it's like, no, you're not. You can rent it out. You can sell it. There's all these things. You actually have an asset.
You could use that asset to get into the next one. It really just takes that one. And I feel like that's the biggest misconception. Time in and time and again, I talk to these renters that have been renting for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, sometimes even at the same place for that long.
How much equity do they get when they leave?
Oh, man, they might not even walk out with their security deposit.
Ooh, if you have a security deposit, you have a down payment.
That's especially rentals nowadays. I'm getting people into rentals, and if we're looking at a 25 and anything up in rent wise, you're looking at spending close to $6,000 to get into that rental. That money's gone. When you buy a house, you take $6,000 and put it into that property. That's $6,000 still in that property.
It's in your back pocket. That's what I always tell people. You literally
just put it in that.
And every time you make a payment every month, part of that goes right back into your back pocket again. And then you get to write off the interest at the end of the year, so you get more money back at the end of the year than you would if you were renting. Oh, and then also, if you're in a fixed rate mortgage, which are most of the mortgages out there, your mortgage doesn't go up, but your rent does.
But what about the responsibilities? I don't want the responsibilities. I love to call the property manager that doesn't return my phone call, or the owner that doesn't care about me, and then I have to sit in my hot house for 10 days because they don't have to sit here.
Yeah.
And now my AC is finally getting fixed.
Yeah. And then the thing is too is, if you had that asset to begin with, you actually have typically bigger credit, larger lines of credit, and more money in your back pocket. People who actually own homes don't live paycheck to paycheck anymore. That's like statistics, So you actually have money to go out and fix those things yourself. And
I don't have to wait 10 days or to call somebody that doesn't care or get a dial tone.
And they're usually just minor items. Once it comes down to it, it's like, oh, hey, I was really afraid to pay that $400 bill to go get my air conditioner fixed.
That you don't have to worry for 10 years, hopefully?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are the worst. Or, you could also have a home warranty on the house. And
you don't say.
Yeah. We give we recommend those your first year just because you don't know the house you're moving into. But
even on new builds?
Yeah, why not?
Do you recommend inspection on new builds?
I do.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, because builders work for themselves.
Oh, okay.
And they're not going to come out to you and say, hey, we made a mistake.
Well, darn.
Yeah. So if you want to look up construction defects, lawsuits that are out there, there's plenty. Builders do make mistakes. I don't think most of them are out to get you, but it's something to look for. And because most builds actually, and some builders are really difficult to actually get a home inspector in, another recommendation is having a home inspector go into the build once you move into it as well. Once you're in there, most of those builders guarantee their workmanship for at least the first year. And during that time, you can call out anything and everything that they need to fix, repair, replace in that house. If there's any type of thing, well, then you got a huge lawsuit against a big corporation. Good for you.
And you win.
Right.
Now, the reason I asked that is because I feel that an agent that knows those certain types of things obviously is going to be more beneficial for the client. I know there's a lot of agents that don't continue to educate themselves or actually know all the moving pieces to new builds or, existing inventory or what those actual steps are, and to really help them make a well-rounded decision because, we owe fiduciary duties to them. And to me, that states that I should make sure that I know how to transact this transaction and move all the moving pieces. And if I don't, well, then I have a team that has been doing this, and you've been doing it for 11 years. Right. There's a lot of people on our team that have been doing it for years. So it's pretty... I think it's really important for if anybody's going to want to talk to somebody about their real estate needs, that they need to make sure that they're talking to real estate professionals and actually talking to somebody.
For sure. And, knowledge is key. And that's one of the great things also about having a team is you have many minds that have experienced many things. I won't tell you I've been in this business for a long time, and I won't tell you I know everything. And any agent or broker or anybody in this business that tells you that they do know everything, they're a liar. I experience new things in this business all the time because this business is always changing, just like markets. So you can learn new things. But if you have more people that you're working with every day, you have a lot more people experiencing different things in the market. And so that's one of the greatest things about, to me, is having a team is, like, hey, just because I didn't go through it, I saw somebody else go through it, and I can learn from that and pass that knowledge on to my client.
So we have some tacos here because this podcast happens to be Let's Taco about real estate. And today's tacos are from
Toritos.
Tacos Los Toritos. So
right.
thank you. They look delicious. And then in this part of the segment, I kind of just like to ask funny questions that ChatGPT is going to be my assistant.
Can I do it while I have tacos in my teeth?
Yeah, you can.
Right,
I would
perfect.
absolutely love it.
Okay.
What's the craziest thing you've ever found in a house during a showing?
I'm searching for things that I can share.
That's not promising.
All right. Is this a PG rated show? Where's my level of what I can share?
We can go to like an 8.
Yeah, an 8?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just leave it. So I went on a showing once with clients, and the owners, we had a show, like we scheduled a showing. I want to say it was like early, it was like right before noon, I think. I think it was like maybe around lunch, like 11 noon, somewhere around there. So the sellers knew we were coming. So anyways, they must have just rushed out of the house when we got there. So it just seemed like
Chaos was around.
Yeah, like certain lights were left on. But anyways, I'm showing the house to the clients, and we were walking through the house, everything's fine. And the shower is like someone just took a shower, and there's a toy stuck to the wall. And there's nobody here.
Oh my God.
Go to say my clients didn't buy that house, but
they didn't see the vision. Or they did see the vision and they were like, you know what? I can't.
I don't think they saw past that. So
that ruined the show.
It was something, it was, if your sellers out there, if your agent schedules a showing, please finish whatever you're doing and leave the house, 5-10 minutes prior at least.
Well, here's a good one. How do you keep a straight face when a seller tells you that their home is a one-of-a-kind feature and is slightly bigger than the average home? Everybody has this is my prized possession, and it's their baby.
And I support that. Like I get it. It's pride of ownership, and I'd rather buy someone's house that they're proud of their home. But I'm also, you have to be a realist when you're an agent. There's a lot of agents out there that'll just tell you what you want to hear to get your business and your listing. But it ends up being a bad relationship, because what happens is your house doesn't sell and you're like, hey, I wanted to move here, and they didn't tell you the things that maybe you needed to hear. So maybe you really could get top dollar for your house and get that number that you're looking for, because it is one of a kind. And maybe it's something that people are really looking for, but maybe you need to make a couple changes to get that. Or maybe it's just not going to happen. And maybe you're nicely going to have to tell you that you're off your rocker on your price. And, I don't want to be, if you want to have the first agent come in and list your house at that, you can. I'll call you in 6 months when it doesn't sell, and then you'll list with me for the price that actually works. So I won't take that business, because I actually don't want to have a bad relationship with them. So it's better that they hear the hard news from me than the beginnings of a bad relationship.
That's somebody that just tells them what they want to hear.
It's like lying when you're dating, right?
And then you find out that they're like the psychopath, and you're like,
they got all these things going on. Just be upfront, So that's really, what. Yeah, I would say that's my takeaway on that one.
All right, here's my last one. What's the most ridiculous DIY improvement you've ever seen on a home? Because everybody can do it themselves, Brandon. I don't know if you know this, but everybody's crafty.
Actually, I got two. One was, actually, I think I showed you the tile house.
Yes, the tile.
Yeah. Installing tile, floors, walls, ceiling, not really what people are looking for. Maybe you, and that's okay, but you should probably take it down before you leave.
That tile improvement was like $100,000 worth of tile.
Yeah, and it was like 50 different tiles in a 1,800 square foot home. So
I hope they don't see this. They'll know when we're talking about them.
Well, you need to hear it, so that's okay. That's okay. That's part of how we build. And, honestly, maybe it gets them the showings and they sell it. Good for them. Other ones I've seen that are really bad is like the do-it-yourself balcony.
You go out and you just stumble off. You're like, ah!
I've seen it where it's like
liability.
there's like a stick holding it up off the. You're like, that was definitely built by the homeowner. Don't stand out there. That's probably the next bad one I saw. Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming on here and giving some great insight into our industry. I feel like it's one of those industries that a lot of people like to poke at and don't really understand the full dynamics of what it is that we do and how we actually go about our day-to-day. And it's not as easy as it seems. Nothing in life, I think, is as easy as it seems. And you just really need to find people that align with your goals. And that's why I think it's so great that you have found this team that has all these different mixed personalities that are available for clients to be able to mesh with and have a great transaction with and have a great relationship with, and be able to transact what is arguably the most expensive transaction that somebody does in their entire life. Yeah. So it's pretty special, and I appreciate you even taking the chance on hiring me, especially as a new agent. You had nothing to go off of. Like I'd never, you had to go off of what I showed you. And I really do appreciate it. I appreciate being able to have such success that I've had in the 4 months. Could I have gone further? Yeah, probably. Absolutely. But if I would have been a solo agent, I wouldn't have touched as many transactions or people or had those conversations or been able to build some great relationships with the clients that I do have. So I really do appreciate it. And I am excited to see where this takes us in the years that we have to come, and the transactions, the cheers, maybe the sadness, everything that comes with it. I'm really excited for this ride. So
it's ups and downs, but honestly, I hope we have a lot of ups and we minimize those downs, and
they'll be there. But
that's what it is. The downs are usually something for us to learn from and move forward.
They make our highs new highs.
Oh yeah, honestly, I appreciate you bringing me on, and I know that you're going to be successful in this business, and I know you're an asset to our team. So just know that, and thank you for all my kudos as well. I'm going to keep trying to work hard and building and making things newer, better, and the best that we possibly can be. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on and watching Let's Talk About Real Estate. My name is Alexis. I am with the Cinquegrani team. This is Brandon, the Cinquegrani, that created this amazing team. Please check in with us every Tuesday. And if you guys like this content, maybe we'll start some more. But we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thanks.